Hey, how's it going? So I've seen The Batman 3 times, and this movie has had an effect on me that haven't had with any really superhero movie ever. This movie got better every single time I watched it. Matt Reeves' Batman is a masterpiece. Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves, as far as I'm concerned, has not made a bad movie. He made Cloverfield, which was very well received. He also made the Planet of the Apes trilogy, well, at least 2 out of those movies, and those were also well received, considered some of the best in the trilogy, and considered one of the best trilogies made to this day. Matt Reeves definitely put a lot of love and care into the world of Gotham and the world of Batman, and Batman the character himself. He clearly understands Batman as a character, and I'm sick and tired of all these other reviews talking about how Matt Reeves doesn't fully understand the character, although it's the exact opposite. He knows what he's doing, and he's doing much more of a slow burn than what we're used to with the character of Batman. The production. Too many superhero movies nowadays rely too much on green screen backgrounds and just heavy saturation. Meanwhile, this movie has a lot of on-set material. Everything is shot, as far as I've seen, is shot on a set. And the CGI that they use only enhances the material that's already there. The costumes are actually fully built. The costumes, the backgrounds, the world building, everything that they have around these characters is completely real and not made in previs, completely shot there on screen. Beautifully shot, by the way. The cinematography looks amazing. The blacks really are dark, but when the colors pop out, they really pop out. And it feels very claustrophobic at times with the way the camera is in on certain characters. But that's the point. It focuses you on those characters. So you're deep diving into this world, diving into what these characters are experiencing. And you're there, you're right there with those characters. The cast. All of this cast was assigned with one main goal: make it believable, but at the same time make you buy into the fact that they are these characters. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman plays a vital role in the story, but also at the same time brings her own flavor into the Catwoman character. Michelle Pfeiffer may be more well received as a Catwoman, but for what they're going for here, this is Catwoman from year one, brought straight from the comic books as long as the Halloween, but blended well into a story that makes complete sense as to why she exists in this world. Same thing goes from the Penguin. The Penguin is not the Penguin yet. Much of these characters, too many of these characters, aren't even their proper counterparts. That's the beauty of watching all these characters such as the Penguin, or really the Riddler. They're gonna grow into the roles that they're known for. Paul Dano's the Riddler knocks this all out of the park, in my opinion, as one of the best Batman villains that we've seen since The Dark Knight. Eerie, disturbing, and downright insane. And even with the mask off, it's more disturbing due to the fact that, well, he looks like a normal guy. He's not all scarred up. He's not all jagged looking. He looks like a normal guy. He looks like he could be any one of our neighbors, which makes this more and more terrifying. Story. The story of a Batman seems very simple, but underneath lies deep undertones and great character building. It's a detective story. If you're going in expecting an action movie, this is not your typical superhero movie that we've gotten nowadays. This is not afraid to have balls and to take risks. As a matter of fact, I'll even dare to say that this movie takes more risks than The Dark Knight did. Batman has been Batman for 2 years, but he is not making the impact that he wants to make. This shakes him down to his core as he solves these mysteries done by Edward Nashton, the Riddler, as he exposes the corruption and filth beneath the underlying depths of the ugly city. He exposes the truth of all these corrupt politicians, crime lords, and including Bruce's very own family. This is the deepest battle Batman has had to face yet in his years, not from the physical aspect, but from an emotional, psychological, and soul aspect. What does the Batman mean to Bruce at this point in his life? What's he really being used for? All of this to be determined in the next topic. The music by Michael Giacchino is absolutely fantastic. This is the most Batman sounding soundtrack since the '89 movie. Sure, there were some bombing soundtracks in The Dark Knight, but can you really remember a lot of them besides maybe the Joker track? If you were to listen to one of those from there and you've never seen any of those movies, which one would you guess? Because in The Dark Knight, there are no memorable tracks besides the Joker's track. But you look back in the '89 movies, and those movies are iconic for a reason. Their tracks are what cemented into Batman's history. Even the animated series used tracks from that movie. That is the Batman theme, and this finds a way to modernize it. This sounds the most like Shirley Walker, but they modernize it in a way that does not off-put the story or off-put the material on screen. And some of the other tracks can be disturbing, unsettling, while at the same time uplifting and inspiring. Some invoke fear, some invoke hope. This is the Batman track, the best Batman track that we've heard since Danny Elfman. I think a lot of people's problem with this overall movie is the fact that it may be too soon. We just got Ben Affleck out as Batman, and he's going to be coming back in The Flash as his official final return. But then they have Robert Pattinson come out of nowhere. And, well, let's face the fact, not a lot of people were on board with Robert Pattinson being as Batman. Everybody was like, oh, that vampire boy from Twilight? Oh, Edward's being Batman now? What is this world coming to? Have we not learned our lesson? Yes, admittedly, I was one of those people at first, but when we got that first suit test, I knew that Matt Reeves had something interesting going on there. But even then, after that suit test, a lot of people would still not stop running their mouth. Well, hate to break it to you guys, but Robert Pattinson is the Batman, the best Batman that we've seen on screen. A lot of people make the argument that his Bruce Wayne isn't developed. I don't give a crap about your guys' argument because it is not even valid. Everybody says the persona between Batman and Bruce Wayne needs to be extremely different. But at the same time, if this is an early years Batman, he hasn't yet defined that persona yet. The whole idea is the fact that he'll grow into it and he'll eventually become that public playboy billionaire that everybody knows him as. But right now, he doesn't have the importance of that. He doesn't feel the importance of that. He thinks that Batman is the only answer in his life, the only answer in Gotham. And the type of impact he wants to make is vengeance. He wants to invoke fear upon everybody, including the innocent. At the beginning of the movie, when he fights the Skull Gang, a guy begs him not to hurt him. This is the type of fear he wants to invoke in everybody. He doesn't even want to be outside the suit because he doesn't feel that sense of power he feels inside the suit. He feels more comfortable in the suit. He feels more confident. But when he gets out of the suit, he feels less confident and he can't even look people in the eyes as Bruce Wayne. He hasn't developed his Bruce Wayne and he hasn't developed his Batman. Truly. And by the end of the movie, you find out, or should I say, he finds out the hard way when a villain points out that he is vengeance. He notices that other people are getting inspiration. He's making an effect, but not the effect that the Batman was meant for. And by the end of the movie, he becomes more of a symbol of hope, which is what the Batman is for the innocent. Symbol of hope for the innocent, symbol of fear for the evil. And the parallels between the guy at the beginning of the movie being afraid of him and the person at the end where he carries, asking him if she's gonna be okay, to be lifted off to go to get some help. The parallels are so unique, so different. And it's such a unique Batman story, a different take on a well-known Batman story. At this point, he realizes what the Batman and Bruce Wayne can be used for. And he realizes that both need to work together to shape the city the best that he can. And this is all done through Robert Pattinson's amazing acting. This movie highlights his eyes a lot. His eyes are what sells the emotion, the moments. He does talking in the movie, but for the most part, he's very silent because he emotes through the suit. You can feel what he feels through the suit. Whether he wants to invoke fear, you hear his footsteps in the dark as he comes out, very powerful like. Or if he feels intimidated, he looks very panicky in the suit. This Batman isn't even perfect. We're so used to just Bruce Wayne throwing on the cowl and automatically knowing how to do what he's going to do. But all of his technology, some technology fails on him. He starts up the Batmobile and it stops a little bit mid-start. Or the moment when he has to escape the GCPD and he looks at the edge and he freaks out for a minute, realizing, oh crap, what am I doing? But then he knows to activate that wingsuit. And even then, on his way down, he hasn't even nailed that part down. This Batman is not perfect, but he's gonna grow. And this is the whole point. He's gonna grow into the Batman that we all know him to be. And even then, this is the most Batman that we've ever had. as one of the biggest aspects to Batman, not only is the intimidation and fear factor, it's also his mind. World's greatest detective. Batman is the world's greatest detective. Maybe not in this beginning phase, but that's because he's still learning. He doesn't automatically start off knowing, okay, this is this, this is this. You see him working through the entire movie, working everything out in his mind. He constantly figures stuff out, constantly is thinking, reflected well in Robert Pattinson's acting, but that's a big aspect to the character. The Nolan films didn't even highlight this. None of the other Batman films truly highlighted what he is that he's also a detective. The way this movie is set up, the soundtrack, the characters, the overall look, the feel, the actions that Batman takes in this movie is inspired by one thing, him being a detective. The Riddler is the perfect enemy to get that detective side out of Batman, to lead him into his master plan at the end. The whole movie had been building up to that point, and Batman eventually figured it out. Did he figure it out too late? Yes, but that's the whole point, is the point that he's still learning. He's not perfect, he's always gonna be making mistakes. Even as a really good detective, you can overlook some of the smallest minute details. You're bringing him back to his roots, and those roots were Detective Comics. In this case, they brought him back to what made him the Batman to begin with. All in all, I do not care what other people say about Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne not being a different side of him and the whole third act not feeling necessary. None of those arguments are valid points. The whole end plan at the end was built up to at the very beginning of the movie. When the Riddler killed the mayor with a carpeting tool, it was used to reveal his master plan at the end. That was the whole point. That's why in that brilliant interrogation scene, he saw Batman, he thought, we're gonna team up, but he noticed that he hadn't figured it out yet. That was the whole point. He wanted him to find out because he thought Batman would agree with his motives. But at the end of the day, the Riddler was just insane. The pacing for 2 hours is fast-paced, and I'm sorry. If you found this movie boring in any way or any spot, your attention span must be a TikTok attention span. Everything from the music to the acting to the amazing, just everything. I'm sorry. It's hard to put together some words. But believe me when I say that Robert Pattinson, if you take another look, go in, knowing, and stop trying to nitpick, because I'll tell you right now, all of those nitpicks that I've heard have been the reason why people will say this isn't better than The Dark Knight. But The Dark Knight is not a flawless movie. Let's stop acting like it. As a matter of fact, the best part of that movie is Heath Ledger. When people mention The Dark Knight, do they mention Christian Bale's Batman immediately? No, they mention Heath Ledger. But when you're looking for the proper Batman movie, this is the Batman. And by far, the Batman, in my opinion, is the best Batman movie. Oh, you guys are here already. Okay, I hope you guys liked the different style of video. I have some sad news to tell you guys. Maybe not some sad news per se, but for a lot of you guys who are consistently watching my videos, it's kind of hard for me to say this. This is going to be the last video that I end up making for about a month or two because there's a lot of transitions going on in my life. And I wanted to crank out a really well-made video before I leave for a bit because I know how much this channel means to me. And the transitions that I'm making definitely deserve my full attention because here's the rankings of everything. Here's life, here's work, and here is YouTube. I have to keep my priorities straight right now. So I'm making some transitions. And in those transitions, I'm just not going to be able to do YouTube right now. Not right now. But I should return sometime by the mid part of April or the end of April. Maybe even going into May when Doctor Strange comes out. I may not even upload until that point. But I'm just giving you guys a heads up so you guys aren't freaking out going, oh, what's happening to this guy's videos if you guys stay till this long. But yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. In other words, I love you guys. And I appreciate all the support I've gotten. And I promise you guys this, when we come back, this background is going to get a major, major upgrade. Just you guys wait.